the buzzword is luxury. You want luxury, right? They have these luxury credit cards, luxury hotels, luxury cars, all these things. They throw that word out there all the time because they expect the word luxury to be equated kind of with a happy, carefree life. But that's not how it works. Just because you are in a luxury car does not mean you will have a luxurious life or a happy life, even. Welcome to the Teacher Money Show, the podcast dedicated to helping teachers navigate your unique financial challenges and unlock your financial superpowers. I'm your host, Sean Morgan, a full-time educator and personal financial coach and speaker. And I'm here to help every teacher, whether you're a seasoned teacher looking for fresh insights or a new educator navigating your first paycheck, to have a richer wallet, classroom, and life.
The contents of this podcast are informational in nature and are not legal or tax advice, and neither I nor my guests are engaged in the provision of legal, tax, or any other advice. You should not act upon this information without first seeking appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional.
Before we begin, I want to invite you to a free webinar that I'm hosting on September 23rd, 2025 at 7 p.m. Central Time. It's called Your Financial PEMDAS for Guaranteed Success. Go to teachermoneyshow.com/webinar to sign up. Invite a teacher friend to come along with you and start building your financial success together. I am so excited to start this next season, season 3 of the Teacher Money Show. It's going to be a great season as we dive deeply into new ideas and bring in new great guests. I first want to address, though, what might be the elephant in the room. You may or may not have noticed that my introduction changed. I did say full-time educator instead of full-time teacher, and the reason for that is that my position at my school has changed. While I do still get to teach, and I'm actually quite excited because I'm going to get to teach a personal financial literacy elective, I am not teaching full-time anymore. I am now doing some part-time administration work as well as teaching. So I feel like a traitor myself sometimes, thinking like I've left teaching and gone into administration, but I really have felt the call to organize things, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not a principal; I'm what's called a coordinator, and it's just helping things run more smoothly at my school because that's something that I'm genuinely good at. Not wanting to my own horn, but that's what I'm doing. And then I'm also teaching personal finance, which is of course super exciting. We're going to get to read great books on personal finance as a class, such as The Richest Man in Babylon, The Simple Path to Wealth, and The Psychology of Money, as well as a book that I've just learned about, which is Adulting Finance for the Real World, is what I believe it's called. I'll put a link in the show notes at teachermoneyshow.com/podcast. But the point is I get to talk about financial literacy with my students and with you guys. So it's a great time, a great day every time I get to do that. Now, this year, I have a new theme, a new idea I want to explore. Last year, we were talking about investing and how we can best invest to be prepared for the future. Now, the key, though, is you have to have money to invest. And as a teacher with our median incomes, they're not dirt poor or low, but they're not super high either. They're median incomes. With that kind of income, we need to know how to create that gap between our spending and our income. And that would be through frugal living. That's probably the first line of defense for any teacher, living more frugally. It's a requirement, really, unless you are married to somebody who is a high income earner, then you might not have to be as frugal. However, living on one person's salary and then having the other to grow and invest with is a really good principle, regardless of the situation you're in when you have those two incomes. So that will require some more frugal living. And just the idea here is that frugality shouldn't be considered something that is evil. It's actually the word frugal comes from the Latin, and it is a virtue in Latin. They are putting frugality as one of the top virtues, like A overly opulent person would not be a virtuous person in ancient Rome. And we have kind of gone away from that. People don't look at frugality necessarily as a virtue anymore, but it indeed is because of the self-discipline that it requires. It creates a stronger constitution in yourself, in your mind, and the interesting thing is that it doesn't have anything to do with your happiness. While we in the world today that we live in, the buzzword is luxury. You want luxury, right? They have these luxury credit cards, luxury hotels, luxury cars, all these things. They throw that word out there all the time because they expect the word luxury to be equated kind of with a happy, carefree life. But that's not how it works. Just because you are in a luxury car does not mean you will have a luxurious life or a happy life, even. In fact, they're not related at all. The ability to be in what would be a luxurious situation does not improve our happiness. Happiness comes much more from being content with the life that you have than the life that you have. So, realizing this, the reason why I say, as a teacher, you're already rich, your wallet just needs to catch up, is you're not rich in your money yet necessarily, but you are rich in your life as you are engaging in a great work of helping our students become great people, become educated human beings, become engaged citizens. These are the types of things that we are doing. That's a fulfilling life that can be very happy if we can look at that and say, oh yes, I am doing something worthwhile instead of looking at the luxury vehicle and saying, oh, if only I had the luxury, I'd be so much happier if I had the luxury vehicle. And we're all guilty of this. I'm not trying to shame anyone here. I have definitely felt the luxury pull, the desire to have something nicer, something better, something bigger, something shinier, whatever we say. It's just the culture is pushing us that way, but it it's a lie. It's a consumerism lie that's pushing us towards higher spending beyond our means that is not actually creating the happiness that we supposedly are thinking we're going to get out of it in the end. So, frugality is the answer to this. Frugality allows you to be intentional with the money you spend, choosing the things that actually bring you happiness and joy and working towards those. That's a frugal way to spend as opposed to a luxury mindset is anything I want it now, right? All Veruca Salt style from Willy Wonka. That is the luxury mindset, and it is detrimental to your long term wealth, health, and happiness. Now, I know a lot of people say I don't want to be frugal because they equate frugality with drabness, with cheap, and these types of equations are incorrect. So let's talk about that difference between frugal and cheap. Frugal is intentional spending to reduce your overall spending. Cheap is trying to get by on the least amount by cutting corners. There is a tricky type of element behind cheap, and when you're cheap, it doesn't allow for um, a stronger connection with the world around you. A cheap person would be someone like Ebenezer Scrooge. Miserly might be another way to describe them. Uh, there's always trying to, just poke the coal. Don't put more coal on, right? But what can we do to, make this stretch for the sake of stretching it? Because I want the money, not because I want the life of happiness. The way you're approaching it is different. The money is most important versus the life is most important. That's the difference between cheap and frugal. And when you're being cheap, uh, you end up kind of ruining relationships because you have things like, hey, you how about you pick up the tab, telling that to your friend, I'll get it next time, and then you never do, right? That's the kind of attitude of a cheap person. While a frugal person might be like, hey, I got a coupon. Let's, let's eat here because I got a coupon today. I'm getting at the same experience, but I'm saving money while I'm doing it. Those are the two different ways to think about it. Hopefully that's clear. We are not trying to be cheap. We're not trying to uh, get by on cutting corners, right? It's not like, oh, I can get the cheaper part to put into my vehicle from this fourth hand website, and it looks like it's more plasticky than this metal part, but it's cheaper, so I'm going to go with that one. That's a cheap mentality, cutting corners, right? The frugal person says, wait a minute, if I'm going to replace this part and the metal one is better than the plastic one, I'd rather spend more money on the metal one because it's going to last longer. It's I got that long term thinking to it as well. Um, just an example from my own life when I was being cheap just a few days ago, because it's always a struggle. Some people are much more likely to be on the anti-frugal, anti-cheap side, but other people are on the frugal, but also kind of lean towards cheap side, and that's me. I can be more cheap than overspending. Um, I was going through Facebook Marketplace to try and find a dishwasher that I needed to replace, and I was finding like the $30 dishwasher, and it just wasn't working. Um, instead of going the frugal route, which would be, oh, instead of buying the top end, or even the brand new out of the box from Home Depot, there's a local, like, hey, you can get a brand new dishwasher. It might have a scratch or a ding on it, but it's brand new and it still works just fine. So you get a discount, but you still get the quality, right? That's more of a frugal mentality. So I'm exploring this topic, just throwing this out here. I'm exploring this topic of living a frugal life because I feel like it's going to benefit me as I explore it, and hopefully it'll benefit you as well. Now, I want to just make sure that we understand the purpose here, because we always start with why. I've said this many times. You have to know why you're doing it, what your vision is. And the why behind living a frugal life is building the life you want. You are intentionally designing your life. So I want you to think back. We've discussed this before, but think back. What is your guiding why? What is your vision? What is the reason why you want to have a rich retirement, have a wealthier life? If it's just so you can swim around in your piles of money like Scrooge McDuck, then you might need to rethink that, because that's just going to be a cheap life, because you're just going to avoid spending just so you have more piles of money, but there's nothing to do with it. There's no connection to make with it. There's no richness of life that goes with that. So, depending on your vision, you might need a lot of money, a little bit of money, right? Some people want to travel the world full time and do see all the sites and do all these things. That might cost more money. It might cost less if you're able to be frugal about it. Uh, or you might just want to say, hey, you know what? I've got a young child. I want to be able to spend more time with them. That could also be a personal why of building the life you want. And this is my personal challenge. So uh, my wife and I had a baby recently, and my wife's been working, and we're just thinking, do we want to spend more time with my wife at home so she can really, mentor and foster our child at a young age, which would require her leaving work, or stepping back immensely from work, which means that we would need to cut back our current lifestyle to continue to hold that gap, so that way we can continue to grow the life we want, but also not live beyond our means. So that's my personal challenge. I'm trying to build the life I want, which is a life where my wife can raise our young son, instead of, okay, he's, however many months old. We can't really handle him anymore with, me working from home and her going to the office, and, he's going to start running around grabbing things and everything. Uh, it's going to be a lot more difficult doing that. So we'd have to either cut back so she can stay home, uh, which is what she wants, if possible, or we'd have to send him to a daycare. Or we'd be outsourcing that raising of our child to someone else. And the question is it worth it to live more luxuriously to do that, or to live more frugally and not do that? That's the type of question that you get to wrestle with when you know why you want to do it and what life you want to have. Because you can then put numbers to that life you want. You can say, this is how much it's going to cost. It's going to, it's going to cost us, my wife's entire paycheck to live the life we want, or maybe half her paycheck if she's able to work part-time. And that's going to be a challenge, but that's a finite cost that we can try and reduce and cut back and live more frugally on. And that's going to allow us to make that decision if it's possible, how we can do that, the ways we can live more frugally to achieve that. So knowing that finite number, this is how much the life I want will cost. Whether it's because you have to cut back for a certain reason or you want to cut back so that way you can save up to achieve something later, whatever it is, frugality is a way to get there. Now, we are not going to talk as much this season about increasing your income to to make that gap wider. We've talked about many times already. That is another option, but it's also more of a long-term play. It's much more difficult to just increase your income, $1,000, $2,000, or whatever, in the next 6 months, even. Like it's much more difficult to do that. But if you can reduce your lifestyle and then start also working on that increased income, that just makes the gap even bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course, you can then kind of move up your lifestyle just a little bit at a time if you want to, if that's going to lead to a better life for you, a more fulfilled life for you, not just a more luxurious life, but a more fulfilled life. Then you can, expand that as your income goes up. But the first line of defense, the first thing to do, of course, is living a more frugal life. And that is what we're going to focus on. I'm trying to learn more about this for my own personal benefit as I'm trying to navigate the situation I'm in. And once again, I'm sure that this will help you out there as you say, okay, I'm on this teacher budget. I have very finite resources. What can I do to live well within my means, to live a happy life, and then to be able to meet my needs in the future, my goals for the future, my retirement goals, my travel goals, my education goals for my kids, or my stay-at-home goals, or whatever your goal is, knowing that frugality will create that gap to get you there. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do, introduce you to the season, welcome you to another season of the Teacher Money Show. I'm so happy you guys are here again and ready to discuss personal finance, and let's make it a discussion. I want to hear from you. Are there any topics or areas of your life that you want to focus on, that you have questions about how you can live more frugally in this area? Are there things that you're wondering about? Hey, I've heard about this method to live more frugally, or hey, I have this idea that I've been working on. What do you think? Like whatever you want to talk about when it comes to frugality, send those messages in. You can also send any other question in. Happy to answer it the best I can. But let's have a conversation about frugality. What do you want to know? What can we discuss more? And you can send that to Shaun, SHAUN, at teachermoneyshow.com. I read all the emails that come to me. I don't have any assistants or anything like that. I usually respond to your email, or if it's a wide enough topic, I bring it on and I talk about it on the show. So I'd love to hear from you and what your thoughts are. And just as you are working through this, as you're thinking about how you can live more frugally so you can achieve those goals, just remember that as a teacher, you are already rich. Your wallet just needs to catch up.
If you would like help on your personal financial situation, go to teachermoneyshow.com/coaching and you'll be able to find different ways that I can help you there. If you would like to participate in spreading this message of financial empowerment to teachers, I would encourage you to talk to your administrator or to your district level about going to SeanKMorgan.com to find more information there. And regardless of which one of those you need, please like and subscribe so that way we can spread the reach of this more. Leave a 5-star rating and review. That's going to help more teachers find this, and then turn around and tell a teacher friend. I really appreciate it.